All right. Welcome, everybody, to the training today. We are going to be talking about why you're losing sales and what to do about it. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be here with me today. I really appreciate it. The goal is that when you leave here, you'll have some new ideas of some things that are going on for you in the sales process, some ideas possibly of what you need to adjust or tweak a little bit so that you can have more impact in your sales conversations. So, a couple things, little housekeeping things just to get us started. We are going to talk about today why it's about filling more than a funnel, the sales process itself, and the number one mistake that costs most entrepreneurs business, how to course correct so that you can earn more business, the easiest way to close a sale, and of course, much, much more. There is what I'm going to do today is deliver about 35 minutes worth of content. And then I have a special offer for those of you who want more, and hopefully many of you are going to want a little bit more on how to hone your selling skills. So I have a special offer coming, and then I will open it up to Q&A, and I would love to take your questions. You're welcome to post questions in the chat box as we go through. Please feel free to do that. Melissa is here. Melissa is my assistant, and she will try to catch as many of those questions as she can for me. But I'll also give you the opportunity to just unmute yourself and ask those questions at the end. I do ask that you keep yourself muted just during the content delivery piece because it helps for the recording to cut down on any background noise, and it makes for a cleaner recording. You will also receive a copy of this training today. It will be sent out to you. Sent out because we had quite a few people register that maybe can't make it live but want to see it, and for those of you who might want to see it again. All right, before we actually dive into content, I want to do a quick introduction of myself in case you and I have not met before. I'm Nikki Roush. My company is Sales Maven. I am a sales coach and trainer, and I specialize in the sales conversation, how to move somebody from that first introduction piece all the way to the close and do it so it's seamless, it's authentic, your personality gets to shine through, and it's easier for the client to make a decision about hiring you or buying whatever it is that you are selling. I have 25 years of sales experience. The majority of that was selling technology products. And I did that at just like at a standard sales position, but I also did it at the manufacturer level. I have closed everything from a few dollar deal to a multi-million-dollar deal and kind of everything in between. In addition to my sales experience, I also am a master certified practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming. If that is a new term for you, it's essentially the study of communication. So the way you process information in your brain. The linguistics part has to do with language, and that is a particular superpower of mine now after studying NLP is the language. So this is why I focus on the sales conversation. And the P of NLP, or the programming part, is about habits and patterns. So what I have done is combined my sales experience with my extensive background in neuro-linguistic programming and created the business that I have now, which is Sales Maven, and that is teaching entrepreneurs how to have more effective sales conversations. I have published 3 books, and I also have a podcast called Sales Maven. So that's me. I've had the great privilege of now training over 1,000 people on how to sell successfully and having clients that get exceptional results. So I'm excited to share with you today the content. So we're going to jump in. And the first concept here that I think is really important for people to start to realize about the sales process is it isn't just about filling your sales funnel. Now, if you don't have an extensive background in sales, a sales funnel may not be something that's a common term to you. Those of you who've been around sales before, you've probably heard people say, you've got to fill your sales funnel. And that is an important concept, I will say, especially coming from my background in corporate sales. My boss used to actually scream this at me often, fill your sales funnel, Nikki. But a lot of times it's more about the marketing efforts. This idea of kind of getting leads in the door is a lot of filling funnel type activity. What I specialize in and why I say it's more than the sales funnel is how do you lead somebody through a sales conversation? And this is a process that now is my signature framework. It is the process that I call the selling staircase. It's my 5-step approach to sales, which is how do you move somebody from step to step to step so that it's seamless to get to that place where you actually exchange dollars for services. So we're going to talk about the selling staircase today. And there are 5 steps in the selling staircase. So I'm not going to go into a deep dive of every single step. I wrote a book about this. If you want more information, you can find the book. It's on Amazon. And there's audio, there's the ebook, there's the printed book as well. But I do want to talk about them because if you've never heard this before, this may bring some new awareness to you around what's going on in your sales conversations and why do people start to ghost you, or why do people kind of fall off in the sales process and maybe you're feeling a little confused about it. It's often because people don't quite understand these 5 steps and how to move a client from step to step to step. So again, the 5 steps, the first step, and I'm going to go into a little bit more detail in these in just a second, but the first step in the selling staircase is the introduction step. Okay, so that's what I call it. Step 1, introduction. Step 2 is the step that I call curiosity. And again, I'm going to explain these a little bit more, but I want to give you the 5 steps initially. So step 2 is curiosity. Step 3 is the discovery. People often refer to this also as the consultation call. So I use the word discovery. If you're somebody who uses consult, totally fine. It works the same. Step 4 is the proposal. This is where we're laying out the offer. And then step 5 in the selling staircase, which hopefully seems really obvious to you, is the close. That's step 5, close. Now, here is the kind of crux of hopefully what drew you to come to this training today is why are you losing sales and what to do about it. The number one mistake that people are doing in the selling process is they are skipping steps. They're trying to skip from introduction to close and rush through the process. And this is where everything starts to fall apart in the sales conversation. And think about it this way. If you've ever been walking into the grocery store to get some milk or eggs or whatever, and now maybe this isn't happening so much because some of us aren't even going to the grocery store right now, but back in the good old days when we could just go into a grocery store to pick up milk or eggs, and you walk in and there's somebody who is standing outside of the grocery store and they kind of jump in front of you and say, would you like to buy such and such, right? And maybe it kind of takes you off. It's like, wait, what? Like, I'm just here to get milk or I'm just here to get eggs. We've probably all experienced that before. I know I have had that many times at the grocery store where somebody will jump out and try to go right in for the sale. And the problem is I didn't even know that this was going to be a conversation. I'm not prepared to have this conversation with you. I'm just here to get some milk or some eggs. Now, every once in a while, you might actually be interested in what the person is selling, but oftentimes it's a little off-putting. It's a little shocking to the system. And this is what it's like when you show up in a conversation with a prospective client and you go right from introduction right into the close. So this is why I want to talk you through the 5 steps today and share a little bit about what's going on in each step so that you can start to realize, are you possibly missing a step or 2 in your selling process? And if you could start implementing that into your conversations, would the process get easier for you and for the client? Now, when you skip steps with people, you run the risk of confusing the prospect, frustrating them. Some people actually get angry. They're like, how dare you just try to sell to me like this? I'm just here to get eggs or milk. Like, they can get angry about it. So keep in mind, if you imagine, again, I said that there's 5 steps in the selling process. If you go up to a prospect and you pull them out in front of a staircase and you say, hey, from a standing position at the bottom of these 5 steps, I want you to hop up to the 5th step. Like, go ahead. Now, some clients might be able to do this. People who have really strong cores might be like, hey, no problem. I'll take that challenge. But most people are going to look at you like, why would I do that? I wouldn't. So You cannot skip steps in the selling process. The only little disclaimer, the only little caveat that I'm going to give you here that could allow for steps to be skipped is if a prospect approaches you and says, hey, I've heard about you. I'm ready to go. How do I pay you money? Your prospects can skip steps, okay? You don't get to as the seller in the conversation because, again, you run the risk of causing somebody to be confused or angry or frustrated or even overwhelmed, right? So the idea is, how do we gracefully lead somebody from step to step to step? So I'm going to talk about the 5 steps, go into a little bit more detail around them, and then give you that real simple key way of how do you move somebody from one step to the next. So in the introduction, step 1, the thing that I want you to think about here is that this is oftentimes where a prospect is being introduced to you for the first time. This can happen via email, via phone call, like face-to-face conversations. Your job in step 1 of the selling staircase in this introduction is to make a powerful, positive first impression. And there's a myriad of ways that you do this. And like I said, I'm giving you kind of surface level here today because I have much deeper dives into this and there's a lot of ways for you to get it. But I want you to be thinking about, how are you showing up in those conversations in the introduction phase? Are you making a powerful first impression? How is it coming across to somebody? Now, if you're the type of person who is mainly engaging your prospects via email for the first time, maybe you're sending out some email campaigns, think about your first impression. Now, if you're like me, which I hope most of you are, business owners, we all get bombarded with emails every day from people that we have no idea who they are, who are instantly going in to sell us something. Start to notice, where are the places where people are saying things in their email, writing things that you go like, that feels kind of salesy or gross, versus somebody who takes the time to write you a thoughtful email that you go, oh, they actually know something about me. This isn't just like, hey, let me word vomit all over you about how good I am. So think about your messaging and how you're showing up. And again, this works in face-to-face conversations, phone conversations, email conversations. Your job is to make a powerful first impression. I think most people have heard people say, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. Are you showing up with a likable, trustworthy type message, or are you sounding like every other like random marketer that's out there? Because those things are not serving you in your business, okay? So step 2 is about creating curiosity. Now, some of these steps, by the way, can happen in one conversation. Sometimes there needs to be multiple conversations that happen. But this curiosity step goes right hand in hand with this introduction step, okay? Curiosity, your job is to have somebody want to know more, to ask you questions, to want to know a little bit more about who you are, what you do, how you serve clients, what the offer is. So you've got to be thinking about, am I creating any curiosity? And one of the ways that you can create curiosity is the way in which you share about who you are and what you do. If you tell somebody everything about your business, all the things, that's called word vomiting. Oftentimes it turns people off. We got to share enough information for somebody to go, tell me more about this. Now I'm going to give you an example of this so that maybe it will bring it to life a little bit. When you're meeting somebody and somebody asks you just a basic standard question, something like, hey, what brought you here today, right? If you're at a networking event. I hope we'll all get to go back to networking events sometime soon. But if you're at a networking event and somebody says, hey, what brought you here today? I don't want you to have an answer that's like, well, I'm this, this, and this, and I do this, and I help these clients, and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's, again, the word vomit. We've probably all been in those networking meetings too, where we had somebody and then you're like, oh, kind of sorry I asked. So I want you to be thinking about, what could you say at a networking meeting that would cause somebody to then want to ask you a follow-up question? So for instance, if somebody said, what brought you here today? If you had an answer that was related back to your business, you might say something like, well, what brought me here today was I'd heard really great things about this organization that you guys often are doing business together and are interested in learning about businesses that bring a unique approach. That's not the best answer, but it's something. I just did that off the top of my head. So somebody might go like, well, what does that mean, a unique approach? Or often I'll also say, if you think about if somebody says like, hey, how are you? We all get that question all the time, right? What could you say to a how are you question that might open the door to talk a little bit about your business? If somebody said to me right now, like, hey, Nikki, how are you? I might say, oh, great. I just got my workbook sent off for my next masterclass. Now, even if the person doesn't know me, they might go like, what does that mean? What's your masterclass about? Now it opens the door for me to talk a little bit about who I am, what I do, what my business is, what this class is that's coming up, right? Versus just saying, oh, I'm fine, I'm good. That doesn't open the door to create any curiosity. You can also do this in emails as well. There's ways to create curiosity. But think about, are you offering opportunities for people to want to know more? So you don't have to tell them all the stuff. You give them just enough that they want to ask you some more questions. This is how you start to create curiosity. You can also do this on social media, by the way. You should be doing it on social media. Look for ways to engage people. Look for ways to create some curiosity so people want to know more about who you are and what you do. Now, once you get to this curiosity step, oftentimes the next logical step in the selling process for somebody who is in fact interested, who indicates that they're curious to know more, who has a potential need, usually what happens when you create curiosity is people will start to give you buying signals. Buying signals, by the way, are internal and not internal, are verbal and nonverbal cues that people give that indicate interest in some way. So for instance, if I said, oh, I just got my workbook sent off for the next masterclass that I'm teaching in July, and somebody says, oh, what's the topic that you're teaching? And I answer the question, I tell them a little bit, and they go, that sounds like something I could benefit from. That is a buying signal right there. Did you guys hear it? It's like, oh, here is somebody who has a potential need for something. So my next logical step in the selling staircase is to go into discovery mode. And the way that you go into discovery mode is this is where you start to learn about what's important to this person. What's their problem? What's their need? What's their want? And then asking questions that leads people down the path to hiring you. Now, there's a lot that goes into the discovery process. I teach like one whole class that's all just around the discovery and your consultation calls because there's a lot that goes in there. So I'm going to give you a couple little tips around this. One is oftentimes people waste those precious discovery opportunities by asking questions that they only need answers to once the person hires them. There's a difference between asking questions that lead somebody to hire you and then asking questions that you need the answers to once somebody hires you. So one of the suggestions I would make for you today, as we're talking about the selling staircase, is to go back and look at your set list of discovery questions that you're asking. And if you're going, what now, Nikki? Set list of discovery questions, that might be the first thing for you to come up with is what is your set list of discovery questions that you're asking? And do they lead people down the path to hiring you? Here's an example of a question that I would never ask in a discovery with a potential client. I would never say, what's the CRM that you're using to track your leads? Because that's not my expertise. That's not something that is going to determine whether or not somebody's an ideal client for me. What I would ask instead is, do you know how to create curiosity when you're talking about your business? Because guess why? That leads people to hiring me. Because if the answer is no, then there's a possible opportunity for us to work together. So think about where are the places that the things that people hire you for, and are you forming your questions in the discovery that lead people down that path to going like, oh, you're my person. You obviously have something that I need, want, desire, or a problem that I need solved, okay? So we talked about discovery. Once you've done a well-done discovery, then you move to the proposal step. And I want to clarify here. You you do not sell during the discovery step. Okay. So when you're in that part of the sales conversation, it's not ask a question, get an answer, start selling. It's go through your list of questions, have all the information that you need in order to recommend the right solution for the client. And then you move to the proposal phase. And one of the ways that you move a client to the proposal phase is that you ask permission. So one of the things I often say when I'm in a discovery call with a client or a potential client is I'll say, based on what you've shared so far, I do see a few possible ways that we might work together. Would you be interested to learn more about that? And then I wait. I wait for them to answer the question before I move into laying out ways for us to work together. So I'm asking permission. And frankly, the reason I'm asking permission is because there's no reason to sell to somebody who is like, no, not interested. Like, don't waste your time and energy on somebody who's not interested in what you have to offer. So ask permission. And then once you get to that proposal fee place where they go, yeah, tell me more about how we might work together. Your job in the proposal is to clearly lay out an offer, a recommendation on what's going to meet that prospect's need, solve that problem, meet that desire. And when I say clearly lay out an offer, you need to make it super easy and super clear so they understand what it is that you're recommending. And then we move into the close phase. And the close phase is actually, this is step 5. This is where you issue close language. So again, let's say I was in a discovery with somebody. I asked permission to move to discovery. They said yes. I would say, based on what you shared, my recommendation would be for us to work together in a private coaching, like in a private coaching program. I have a couple different programs that would work for you, but my recommendation would be this one. And then I say, is that something that sounds like a good fit for you? That's close language. So how you move to this close step is you actually have to get the words out of your mouth. You have to issue close language. You can't just say, here's my proposal. What would you like? Well, even what would you like is better than here's my proposal, and then that's it. Oftentimes where people start to fall down in the sales process is they miss that close language. The words have to come out of your mouth to the person that you are laying out your proposal to. And depending on what type of business you're doing, this may actually be a formal proposal, or it may just be a conversation that we're having. And this, again, this can happen in one conversation at one networking event or on one Zoom call with somebody, or it will happen over multiple conversations depending on where that person is in the process. But you've got to get to the close. And until you get to the close, we really don't know, like, are we going to earn this person's business or not? And this is why, hopefully now, after hearing the different steps in the selling process, why it's so important that you don't skip steps. Because you can go right from introduction, maybe create curiosity and go right in for the close. But if you don't understand what the problem is, the need in that discovery, you might recommend something that they go, no, not for me. And if you're surprised by that, it's usually because you didn't do a well-done discovery. Okay, so how you actually move clients, you may have started to pick up on this a little bit as I talk about some of the language pieces, but just to put a name to it, the way that you move a client from step to step to step is that you issue an invitation every step of the way. So it's your job to walk the client through the 5 steps of the selling staircase. It's your job to move them, and the way you move them is by issuing an invitation. So I'm going to give you some examples of some invitation language that I've already given to you. So for instance, in the curiosity step, and they give me a buying signal, I might say to them, is that something you'd like to learn more about? Or is that something we should talk more about? If they gave me a buying signal, they say, yes, now we go into discovery. The way to move from discovery to proposal was the permission language. Based on what you've shared so far, I do see some ways that we might work together. Would you like to learn more about that? That's the invitation. And then with the close, where I get to this place where I've laid out the proposal and then I said, is that something you'd like to move forward with? That's that close language. That's an invitation. Now, sometimes people will also refer to this as asking for the sale. I teach it as issuing an invitation because I think most people like to be invited. I don't know about you, but If you're, somewhere and you hear a friend is throwing a party, isn't it nice to get an invitation, even if you can't go, even if you don't want to go? No, none of us want to be excluded. Well, some of us maybe, but most of us want to be included. So when you issue invitations, the other thing in the selling process is it takes some of the pressure off of you. This isn't about hard selling anybody. It's just an invitation. They can say yes, they can say no. Either way is okay. And if you're not issuing invitations, clients will sometimes just hang out on one of these steps because they don't know what to do next. They don't maybe even know how to articulate to you that they're interested in a discovery call or they're interested in hearing about your proposal. And they'll just kind of hang out in that introduction, that curiosity phase. And that's a real shame. And this costs people business all the time by not moving people through the steps by issuing invitations. I wanted to share a quick quote with you here that I think is relevant, which is, if you're not moving closer to what you want in sales or in life, you probably aren't doing enough asking. This is a Jack Canfield quote. I love this quote. And this is an exact, to me, this quote really hits the nail on the head of everything that we just talked about, how it's so important that you are issuing those invitations, that you're making it easy for the clients to work through that process with you and get to the next step. So again, asking, invitation, same like change of word, but same concept. So whether you're asking or whether you're issuing invitations, if you're not getting what you want out of life and in sales, it's because you're not issuing enough invitations. Okay. So now that you've heard about the 5 steps, I want to give you what I always call is the little secret. The little secret in sales is most people will not buy from you until you invite them. I'm going to say that one more time. Most people will not buy from you until you invite them. And here's one of the reasons this is true, is most of us are so busy. We have so many things going on in our head. We're thinking about, we have so many things we have to accomplish. And a lot of us are in like decision fatigue because we have to make a lot of decisions. So we don't ever get to the place of deciding whether or not we want to hire somebody or buy from them until the decision is put in front of us. Like some of us are just looking for ways to not have to make any more decisions. But when somebody makes it easy for you and gives you an invitation or invites you, asks you to do business with them, you can say, yes, I want this, or no, I want that, or no, I don't want it. And either way is okay, but we have to make it super easy for our client to decide. So that's one of the little secrets that I want to leave you with today, is that most people will not buy from you until you invite them. So get out there and start inviting people to next steps with you. Give them the opportunity to say, do I want to or not? Either way is okay. But if you never ask, you'll never get. Okay? All right. So the easiest way to close the sale is to issue the invitation. I feel like I've hit that point home here a little bit. And to be successful in sales, it's just about leading your prospect from step to step to step. Get to that place where you can actually exchange dollars for services. Now that you've heard about the 5 steps, step 1 being introduction, step 2 being curiosity, step 3 being discovery, step 4 proposal, step 5 close, my question to you today is, which step are you skipping in the selling process? And if you're willing to share in the chat, I'd love to see what are the steps that you're skipping. And there's no judgment here. And if you're like, hey, I got all 5 steps of these down, awesome, congratulations, happy dance for you. Most people are skipping at least 1 or 2 steps in the selling process. So I'm interested to know, which step are you skipping? And that just means that it's time for you to learn how to really hone that step, how to really improve your skill set, your communication set with a prospective client to make it easy for them to get through that step to move to the next one. So I want to hear what your biggest questions are about the content that I just delivered, or anything sales related. I'm happy to answer some questions for you today. And before I do that, before I open it up to questions, I did mention that I have a special offer for those of you who signed up for the training today. So I'm going to take a couple minutes, share that with you, and then I'm going to open it up to Q&A. I would recommend that you stick around for the Q&A because oftentimes during the Q&A, people ask these incredible questions. So there might be some learning here that you didn't even know you're going to get today if you stick around for the Q&A. And more importantly, if you choose to actually ask a question, there's an opportunity for some real learning for you here. So before I do that, like I said, I'm going to go through the offer, the next step offer. And the next step offer is I'm going to invite you to join the Sales Maven Society. The Sales Maven Society is my membership program. This is where a good majority of my sales training content is housed. And in just a minute, I'm going to give you a sneak peek into it. This is where the sales training is housed. This is where I do live monthly bonus calls for my group. We have a private Facebook group where people pose questions to me all day long about sales things, even going as far as posting their email messaging and asking for some feedback on it. That's one of the big services that I offer to this group. And it's a community of incredible business owners. So it's an opportunity for you to really dive deep into your own sales skills and learning how to be more effective at selling. So we'd love to have you join. I'm going to give you, like I said, a sneak peek. Let me do this really quick. Let me share my screen. Okay. And I'm going to pull it up so you can see. If we go into the Sales Maven Society, I'm going to try to make it big so it'll make it easier for you to see on your screen. So here is the homepage. If you go into the member home, here is what's inside. We have a member directory. We have a calendar of events. If you click on this little button here that says Sales Maven Society in the middle, where it says courses, this is where you're going to find the bulk of the content. These are individual training units on everything you could possibly think about sales related, I think. There are 60 some units in here of sales training, everything from like how to write better emails to converting consultations into paying clients. This is a really powerful unit. This really dives deep into the discovery process. So this content is here for you. There are workbooks to support the learning. They're set up as video trainings, but also audio trainings too, if you're somebody who likes to listen. So this training is here for you. Here's another thing that's inside this group is a resource center. It's a very robust resource center. I have everything from the audiobook of The Selling Staircase. It's in here. You get that as part of your Sales Maven Society, so you can listen to it at your leisure. And then there's all kinds of content behind each one of these buttons. So for instance, if you are interested in some business building opportunities, here are articles that I have written around business building. And if you want to know how to build rapport with clients, here are videos about how to build rapport. Here are articles written about this, more videos for you. I'm going to show you one other thing. There is the bonus section is another place where there is a tremendous amount of content here for you of sales. And the nice thing is all of these are set up for you to just pick and choose the stuff that you need when you need it. So I just actually taught this yesterday. I taught the group how to gracefully decline business. It comes with a workbook. Last month I taught them strategies for remembering names, how to make a powerful first impression in person and virtually. We talked about podcast guesting. So you can see there's all kinds of content behind here for you in the training center. And I'm also going to show you in our Facebook group, here is the Sales Maven Society. Here's an opportunity where, here's an email that somebody posted yesterday. They posted their email. They wanted feedback from me, so I was able to go in and show her how to make her email more impactful. So this is what's going on in this group. It's a very active group. You'll get opportunities to connect with some amazing people in there. I want to jump back over here and show you the way to take advantage of this offer. So I'm going to give you the offer here in just a second, but I'm going to log out of this first so you can see it. So this group is $97 a month. That's the membership fee to be in it. There's no long-term commitment. You can cancel at any time. So you can come in for a month, get as much content as you want and leave, or you can come in and stay. Most people will come in and stay. We have, I think now we're almost up to like 60 of our members have signed up just for lifetime membership because they love the group so much. So people come in, they stay for quite a long time. I think now I'm coming up on almost 3 years of members that have been in there and loving it. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to salesmavensociety.com, and I'm going to give you a coupon code today to join for your first month, because I know this content makes a difference. And even if you join just to go listen to the audiobook of The Selling Staircase, this is actually a better deal than if you go buy the book itself. So I'm going to give you a code, and I'm going to take $90 off your first month of membership. So I'm going to give you a code to get you a $7 trial for your first month, because I know if you come in and you start using this content, it is going to help you grow your sales. It will make an impact in your sales conversations. You will learn how to build your confidence and boost your selling skills so that the process gets easier for you and for your clients. So you're going to go to salesmavensociety.com. You're going to click on the Add to Cart button. You're going to click on Checkout. So you'll see here, Checkout. And then there's this button for you right here, or this coupon code, and you're going to type in 7 trial. And if you type in 7 trial and hit Add, you'll see it just changed your price for your first month of $7. So then it's going to ask you for your credit card information. You put that in and you are a member, and you can start asking your first question in the Facebook group. You can start going through your first set of trainings. If you're not sure what training to go through first, you can tag me in a post in the group and ask me, and I'll make some recommendations based on what you need right now for your business. So again, that code is 7 trial, and we'd love to have you join. So come join us. And now I want to open it up to questions or comments from anybody that is here today. Go ahead and unmute yourself if you have a question for me.
Nikki, did you see that there's one in the comment box?
Let me see. Roberta, let's see. Are you still on the call? Roberta, can we talk about the question? Do you mind unmuting yourself?
Yeah. Hi, Nikki.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. It's nice to see you. Tell me a little bit about what's going on here, where you're feeling like you're getting stuck.
Okay. So usually if I'm going to get into a business conversation with someone, they are usually calling me anyway.
Okay.
About a consultation or how I work, or, how much would it cost to have a project go. I usually do, remodeling and that type of thing. But so if I'm just out at a meeting or someplace, and maybe I need to be going to more networking meetings, but the networking meetings that I do go to are other business owners. So, we're just sort of, I guess, referring each other. But if someone at one of those meetings asks me what I do for a living, the common response every time I tell them is, "Oh, how fun. I wish I did that." There's rarely any interest. I'm an interior designer, so there's rarely any, does it go any further than that as far as interest in wanting something done.
So we might need a follow-up question for you, because I don't think your answer is creating the curiosity. So we could change the answer, right? Okay. You could talk about, if somebody says, "What do?" You might say, "I'm an interior designer." And then you would say, "For instance," and then we might give an example of a really cool project that you just did, or something that is really common that most people need some help with or want some help with. Can you help me and tell me what would be something that somebody would like? What's probably like the most popular, like amazing thing that you do that you're known for, that your clients just go crazy for?
Well, I hope this isn't too outrageous, but a bathroom remodel.
Yeah.
Many homes need them
Yeah.
and people need them, and they're not as expensive as a kitchen. And it
Okay.
does help to, increase the value of the house and also give them a better living space. So
Okay.
I think a bathroom remodel, and plus it's not just decorating, which I don't specialize in. I
Okay.
don't want to say I'll do your baby's room or I'll do your bedroom with furniture. I prefer construction projects.
Okay. So what if when somebody asks you what you do, I'm going to test the water. So by the way, for all of you who are watching right now, watch Roberta's face because she's where the action is. So we'll see if this lands or not. And I'm okay if it doesn't. All right. But what if you said instead, I help people increase the value of their home with something really simple that almost everybody needs?
Oh, wow.
Like,
That is like totally different than where my brain would go.
I know.
But you know what? I'd been thinking of something along those lines, but I couldn't figure out how to make it sound right.
Now we won't know if it works or not until you try it.
Yeah.
Right. So if somebody goes, what? Like if it's
That's exactly
off-putting,
what they would do, I think.
but even if they go, what, that's okay. As long as
Yeah.
you say, and I do that by redesigning bathrooms that are out of date, need updates, and make them more functional. And people go like, oh, my bathroom's out of date, right?
Everybody says
Possibly.
that.
Now it's a little bit, you're selling a pretty high ticket item. So
Mhm.
when you're selling a high ticket item, and I've been there too, selling very high ticket items before, the client, we got to weed through a lot of people to find like who are the potential clients, but you never know in the business that you're in, are you talking to a prospective client or not? So we've got to play this curiosity game with them to see, because if somebody goes like, oh, I'd like to sell my house in the next 5 years, and man, wouldn't it be nice to have a more functional bathroom or a more updated or whatever
I
that piece
haven't
is?
think
Well,
of that.
now we're going to say, is that something you'd like to chat more about? And if we never get to that place to ask that question so they can say no or yes, we don't know if we're talking to a prospective client or not. And we
That's
just got to
right.
get you to more places to talking to more prospective clients so that they can make a decision, yes or no, in a conversation with you. And if it turns out they're like, oh, that's really cool, I wish I did that too, it's also okay to bless and release and
There you
end
go.
conversations, right? With people who
Yeah.
are maybe not a good fit right now for your business. Doesn't make them bad people, doesn't mean you don't care about them. It's
Right.
just, if you're at a networking meeting, I want you all to be at networking meetings to sell, to be looking for your ideal clients, attracting your ideal clients, and moving them to the next step in the process. Because otherwise, I call that ladies that lunch. If you're just going to networking meetings, meeting a lot of really cool people and never having business conversations. And by the way, Jeffrey, this is not directed at you, but I still think even for men, like we don't want to be ladies who lunch. I mean, you might want to in certain areas of your life, and that's okay. But if you're paying money and taking time out of your business workday, like I want you going and finding those ideal clients. So I'm going to say play with that.
I think your answer is excellent. I just don't know now whether there are going to be networking meetings. I don't know how they're going to come about.
Well, how about when you are talking to friends and family? Play with the creating curiosity. Everything that I teach, it's like you're building a muscle, right? Like every
Right.
piece of the sales process is like building a muscle. And the way you build muscle is through repetition, right? Like muscles just don't like pop out overnight. Like, wouldn't that be awesome if they did? I want a 6-pack tomorrow. That's not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
It comes over time. So start playing with this curiosity piece, even with your friends and family, and see if they go like, tell me more. Now, they might not be your ideal clients, but you're building the muscle so that when you are in those situations, they're ready. They just roll off your tongue. This is one of the
Okay.
things that, I build curiosity pretty regularly. And because I really do walk my talk. And if I'm teaching something, I'm doing it. I don't teach things I don't do. And so I'm out building curiosity all the time. And I'm often surprised at the people who are like, oh, I actually could work with a sales coach. And I'm like, oh, great. One time it was, I was having my teeth cleaned and my hygienist started giving me buying signals. She actually had her hands in my mouth. This is true story. Hands in my mouth, giving me buying signals. I had to wait for
And
her
you
to get
couldn't
them out
talk.
of my mouth to move her to the discovery process. And it turned out she didn't actually ever buy from me, but she did want to be on my newsletter because she wanted to receive sales tips from me regularly. Because she was at the time thinking about starting a side business to what she was doing. So you never know if you're talking to somebody who's like, well, you wouldn't know this, but I just bought a house and I might need a bathroom remodel. Like, we don't know if we're in conversations with those people or not. So be willing to just play, get playful, get curious.
Okay, I love your response.
Okay, good.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for asking the question. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. I see, let's see. I saw Angie said, just finished signing up. Thank you, Angie. Super excited to have you. Who else has a question or a comment?
I do have a comment.
Hi.
And I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity that you've given all of us and great tips you've been giving. I was introduced to you just recently. I can't tell you exactly who pointed me in your direction, but just out of curiosity, I'm taking a look.
Okay, well, thank you for being curious, and whoever did introduce you and allow for us to connect, I'm super grateful for that. Thank you for taking time out of your day to be
I'll look
here.
that up and I'll let you know.
Okay, yeah.
Send
Would
you an
you?
email on
Yeah,
that.
send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, appreciate that so much.
Thank you.
I'm glad this was useful for you. Thanks for, like I
Yes,
said,
it
thanks
is.
for being here. Anybody else? Question, comment? Mary, I think you might be, there you are. Oh, nope, still can't hear you. I don't think your audio's on. You might want to see if your computer's turned up.
I just turned the phone because I can't, it's not coming through clearly, so.
I can just barely hear you. I'm so sorry. Is it easy? I don't know how big the question is, Mary, but if you want to type it into the chat, I'm happy to wait to answer it. Yeah, so sorry. I want to hear you. I like see you talking and I'm like, oh, I want to get closer. And unfortunately, the closer I get to my computer, it doesn't make you any louder. Thank you for being here, though. Anybody else? Question, comment? All right, let's see.
Can I just say one more thing?
Yes.
I've only been in the group for like a month now, and I think I've gone through most of your steps or whatever you want to call it there. I'm amazed, I have to say. I think you're phenomenal.
Thank you.
I like the way you talk, the way you deliver those videos. You know, you're just down to earth, and I think, you know, when people are talking on a video, they may make a little mistake or something, but you can correct it quickly or whatever if you do, which is rare. But I think you're very honest and true about the whole thing too. I don't
Thank
feel like
you.
you're coming off with some affectation or whatever you want to call it, like you're superior or whatever. I think you give it very well. Very
Thank you so
impressed.
much. Thank you
Very
so much. I really appreciate that. I laugh because every once in a while when I get that kind of feedback, I always think, I don't know how to be any way different. So it doesn't feel like it's just, you really are getting me. I do walk my
Yeah.
talk. I do the things that I teach. And I don't talk about things that I feel like I don't know enough about. So I'm really only teaching stuff that I feel confident is going to make an impact. So thank you for being in the group. We love having you. I love my Sales Maven Society members. They're amazing.
I've been
And
busy, so I haven't been able to participate very much, but I've really enjoyed what I've been able to get a hold of so far.
oh, good. Well, thank you. And I see that we have Karen on the call too. Karen is our Uruguay contingent. She's been in the group for quite some time. And so it's nice to see you, Karen. Thanks for being here. It looks like it's late where you are. It looks dark. Yeah. All right. So Jeffrey, I saw a question from you here. In a B2B sales environment, what's the most important thing a business owner wants from a salesperson? I think what they want from a salesperson is somebody who is willing to invest the time and energy to understand what's the problem, what's the need, and then deliver back in a credible way a solution that is going to meet the need. And so I'm going to expand on that answer just a little bit. When you're making a proposal back to a client, you always want to do it from a place of integrity. And that might seem like a really surface answer, but I want to dig a little bit here, is that we all have, different levels of potential depending on what you do, but most of us have different levels of offers that we could offer to a client, right? Like I have an $8,000 coaching program, but I really only offer that when I know that is exactly what somebody needs. Most of my clients are either coming into the Sales Maven Society, are doing a strategy session with me, are joining a masterclass, or are doing like my mid-level package. I only recommend what I know is going to offer the client a solution. So I would never recommend like a VIP package to somebody who that's just not going to solve the problem or the need or the want. And as a matter of fact, I had a conversation earlier this week with a woman who she was like, I just need help with this one thing. And as much as I know that there's probably more that I could do with her, but she's saying, I need help with this one thing. And I was like, here's how you get this one thing solved when we work together. And it's this. And it was just a one-off strategy session. So that's a long answer to your question, but I think they want somebody who is willing to invest time and energy to learn what the problem is and then make a recommendation. So the other piece that I'm going to say about the make the recommendation is one of the mistakes oftentimes is if you have a myriad of ways that somebody could hire you, is you go, here's my myriad of ways that you can pay me money to get your solution met. But that's too confusing. They don't know what you know. So you have to be the one to recommend. Now they might say, no, I want something more or I want something less. That's okay. But you have to recommend what you know the client needs, not what you think the client can afford. So even if I'm talking to somebody who's like, I got money coming out my ears and I could pay you $1 million, Nikki. If they just need a strategy session, I have to stand in integrity and only recommend that.
So you're saying recommend what they need rather than what you believe that their budget will allow.
Yeah. Yeah. And even, by the way, this goes the other way. If somebody comes to me and they're like, I'm looking for you to solve all these problems in my sales process, and I know they need private coaching with me, and they're like, yeah, but can I just join the Sales Maven Society and get it? I'm going to be honest and say, you might get some pieces of it. You're going to have to figure out a lot of it on your own. But if you really want to get it and get it fast, like faster, and you want somebody who's going to guide you every step of the way you're going to get that is in private coaching with me. So even if they're like, well, I just can't afford that. Well, a way to start is to join the Sales Maven Society or read a book. And that's okay. That's, you don't just, the biggest thing is you cannot sell from somebody else's wallet. So I'm always going to recommend what I know they need, even if there's a part of them that's like, I would never pay you that kind of money, lady. Okay. That's your choice. Bless and release. I'm not attached to anybody hiring me if I'm not a good fit for them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anyone else? Question, comment? I'm going to say going once. Going twice.
I have a question.
Okay, then ask it, please.
Keep you going. But this is for the other 11 people or 10 people that are on here at this time. And the question is, what do other people do? What type of business are they involved in?
Oh, okay. I love that. So if you are willing to share in the chat box what your business is, it'd be interesting to learn. I'm sorry, I usually ask that at the beginning and I missed it this time around. I
came in after you got started, so I didn't know whether you did that or not.
Well, the reason I didn't ask this time is because Zoom has changed their, the chat box option. You used to be able to see all the chat when you would join, regardless of when you would join, but now you can only see anything that was chatted from the time that you joined. And so that's why I didn't ask at the beginning for people to put who they were and what they do. Because of Zoom's been making a lot of changes to their platform, good mostly good changes. This one is not my favorite, but Gail, super excited to have you. Thank you. And Angie, you own a retail bridal shop and a nonprofit bridal industry training group. That's amazing. Love that. Angie, where are you based?
I'm in Oregon, so I'm in Salem. So
Oh, okay.
south of Portland, about an hour.
Okay, good. It's so fun to see. Of course, I know what Karen does. Karen is super interesting. Travel writer. If you guys are wondering about where to take your next vacation, she can help you with that. Go visit her amazing country. Anybody else want to share what they do?
Mine's coming up.
Okay. Awesome.
I was in a lot of in-person seminars, over 1,500 seminar days in the last 10 years. And the apple cart turned over, all the apples rolled away.
Yeah.
So I'm repivoting and changing what we're doing.
Yeah. There's some brilliance in online business. Allows for these things to not impact you in the same way, those of us who were going out and speaking and training.
I love the in-person stuff.
I do too.
And I'm itching to get back to it.
Yeah.
It will come.
It's coming. I think it's coming. Dr. Tara Guzzo, I work with busy women. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Super fun to hear from everybody. I am going to bring this to a close. You will get an email from me that has the link, or with the coupon code, and has the link to join the Sales Maven Society. If you're considering it, we'd love to have you come take advantage of that $7 offer. If you would like to have the replay, it will come out later. It might come out later today or early tomorrow to you in a replay. It takes a little while for this video to all get ready to process and send out. So thank you for being here. Appreciate your time and attention. If I can support you in any way, please reach out to me. I'm always happy to hear from you. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Thank you for being here. Take care.